All right, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you about the next type of translation, and that is a horizontal translation. And in order to show you what happens in a horizontal translation, I'm going to once again take you back to this function, y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. All right, so that is a quadratic in vertex form, and it's called vertex form because your h and your k gave you the coordinates of your vertex. Okay, so in my last lesson, I already dealt with the k value. That k value created a vertical translation up or down. In this lesson, we're going to examine the h value now. Okay, so let's go back to this graph. Y is equal to x squared. So that graph is a parabola. It opens up just like this, and we have a vertex of 0, 0. Okay, so yeah, we're quite familiar with that graph, but what if I took that graph and I changed it around a little bit? If I change this to y is equal to x minus 2 squared, can you tell me what is the difference between this graph and this graph? What does that 2 do to the graph? Well, that 2 is your h value. So my h value is 2. And what is the k value? Well, there is no k value. We're just adding a 0. So my k value is 0. So my new vertex goes from 0, 0 to 2, comma 0. So if I graph that point here, I'm going 1, 2, 2 units to the right. So there is my new vertex. But did it change the shape of the graph when we did that? No, we didn't. It still was a parabola that opened up just like this. All right? So what did we just do to the original graph to create the new graph? What we just did was we just horizontally translated the original graph 2 units to the right. So in 20-1, you were performing horizontal translations. We just didn't tell you that. We were just telling you to change the h values, and all the while you were performing a horizontal translation. So when h was 2, you went 2 units to the right. Okay, so let's look at a different function. Y is equal to, let's say, x plus 2 squared. Okay, so what was the difference between that graph and the original graph, y is equal to x squared? Well, the difference was this 2 right here. That 2 told you that your h value was negative 2. Okay, and your k value is the same as the last time. There is no k value because we're adding a 0, so k is 0. So my vertex became went from 0, 0 to now negative 2, comma 0. So if we go ahead and graph that point up here, we're going 1, 2 units to the left. And does it change shape? No, it doesn't change the shape. It still is a parabola opening upwards just like that. All right, so when h was negative 2, you went left 2 units. So notice the little oddities here that we have. This plus 2, I'll circle it here. This plus 2 meant that we were going left 2 units. Okay, this minus 2 means we're going right 2 units. So you're doing exactly the opposite of the sign. If it's a minus, you're going to the right. If it's a plus, you're going to the left. It's really important that you understand that because you're going to be doing it quite a few times in the next few days here. So really important. Plus means you're going to the left. Minus means you're going to the right. Okay, so to summarize all of that, we're going to, let me just delete that there. Okay, so this is the general case right here. The graph of y is equal to f of x minus h involves a horizontal translation. So this is the general case. It doesn't have to be on a quadratic like our last example. You can perform horizontal translations on any type of function. It could be quartic, could be quintic, could be cubic. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's all about this h value here. When you have an h value, you definitely have a horizontal translation. So there are obviously two types here. The first type is when h is greater than 0, the graph moves right h units. Okay, so when this value h is greater than 0, we're moving right. Okay, and the second case is when h is less than 0, the graph moves left the positive value h of units. So sorry, not positive value, the absolute value. So we're taking the absolute value of our h because you cannot move negative amount of units. So it's really important you're taking the positive case of your negative h. So there is the general case right there, and that's my introduction to horizontal translations.